Hello, Renee Flamond here. You guys, do you have a friend who, I don't know, spends $300 every single Saturday at the golf course and you're like, how are they affording that? Or you have another friend maybe who gets a massage twice a week in the office and you're like, how are they affording that? I think that so many, and I bring it up to people, the disparity with what we spend our money on varies so much from person to person, and yet we judge the other person on how they're spending their money, or if they're saving, or if that's a necessary expense, or why are you blowing your money on that? Let me unpack this, because I say it right out to people. I have a friend, she laughs. She would never in 1,000,000 years spend what I've spent on, let's just say, bags and shoes. She's very reasonable. She would never. But every single week, monthly, whatever it is, she needs her massage, her reflexology, her acupuncturist, her, you know what I mean? And we laugh. And I tell her, well, my budget for those things is zero. I'm not spending anything on massages, reflexology. Sounds like a dream, but I'm not dropping $1,000 a month on that. But she wouldn't spend what I spend on clothes. You might have a friend who, I guess what I'm saying is I've learned everybody has their thing upon which they drop coin, right? And what is your thing? Where do you indulge? I may spend $0 in a category where a friend spends $1,000 a month. And when you bring it to yourself, use a solid example. For example, I would never spend $300 on a golf club. Not in 1,000,000 years. But I know several people who have and would again. But they would never spend $300 on, say, a pair of pants. So they make fun, right? Oh, you're ridiculous. Am I? But are you? But that's a hobby that they do. For some, it's travel. For some, technology. I know somebody for whom it's got to be the biggest, the best, the fastest, the mostest. It's got to be. Whether it's TVs or phones or tablets or computers, cameras, that's their thing. My budget for that kind of thing is as needed, as things break. I don't need that stuff. Other people, it's expensive hobbies. We mentioned golf. That can be an expensive hobby if you add it up. Poker playing, hunting, scuba diving. These things cost money. My budget for all of those is zero. Zero. So if I want to spend XYZ on a pair of boots, I'm not guilty. That's my thing. I know women that spend $200 every 6 weeks at the hairdresser. I don't have a hairdresser. So my budget for that is zero. Zero. So everybody has their thing, and we judge. We all do it. We all do it. And I don't think anybody has a right. Everyone has, if they're making their own money and it's not infringing upon you and you're not paying their bills, you got nothing to say. What's important to one person just may not be the same for you. And there are full-on ways to save. This is the only time that I think that it's your business. If somebody comes right out and asks you, and I've had people ask me, how do you save and how did you do it and all of this, okay? Because I'm a master kind of, not even saver, but making it on very little. Because I was broke forever, especially after college. I floated from job to job. I was young. I wasn't in a rush to start a career. Let me try this. Let me try that. Well, if you try a bunch of things, you don't ever make any good money. So you basically are broke, right? So that's how I spent my time. We're going to get to this in a second. This is a daily planner from 1993. I told you I've kept them forever. I write everything that I spent every single day down to the $1 for coffee. So I've had people ask me, how do I stretch the dollar? How do I save money? Okay, fine. But there's no way on earth, and this comes up. There's no way on earth I ever had enough money to smoke. I never did smoke, thankfully, but I couldn't have if I wanted to. And add up coffee out once in a while. I'll tell you my Dunkin' story in a minute. My Dunkin' Donut story is in here. But saving money and how that can go, I find to be fascinating. I cannot believe one person I knew said to me, I'm broke, I'm broke, I'm broke, I'm broke, I'm broke, I'm broke, I'm broke. And I said, I saved her $600 in a 60-second conversation. How many cigarettes do you smoke a month? That was easy math. And every single day she would take to work a Diet Coke and a full bag of potato chips. So add that up today. $5, $7 a day times 5 times a week. So you're over, what? And it's not nutritional? And you're dropping money. I saved her $600 in 60 seconds. Guess what? She continued to smoke. She continued to buy her chips. And she continued to buy her Diet Coke. Why? Well, that was her cognitive dissonance, wasn't it? We talked about that last video. She knew what to do. Those little things would have saved her $600 a month. This was, by the way, 30 years ago, 25 years ago, I had this conversation with somebody. That's a car payment. That these days, a nice car, that's a rent mortgage 25 years ago. That's how much you're blowing? I didn't have an extra $600. Anything extra I did have always went to clothes, shoes, bags. That was my thing. Always, from when I had my first job at age 12. I would make $4 a day. I would save it every month. I didn't put anything into the video games, which is at the bowling alley where I worked and all my friends were. I would save $4 a day, $24 a week, and in a month, I would go and buy a really nice thing. I would figure it out, but I never had money to smoke. So many people that are broke smoke. I don't get it. This isn't an anti-smoking message, but that to me is the first question I ask anybody. And then it can shut down the conversation. If they don't want to quit, they're not going to quit. Guess what? That's their thing. That's their thing. Their thing is cigarettes. Everyone has their thing. When I tell you, I couldn't believe that she was uninterested in smoking at the time, I was shocked. But then I've learned a lot about it. That's an addiction somebody has. It doesn't matter. They know in their mind they should stop and that they could save themselves $600 a month. But they're addicted to that. That's a whole other topic. But I want to get into the saving money thing. So this is a book I kept. Is this hilarious? These are all the different days of the month. And it's literally written, $7 Almax. That's a grocery store in Rhode Island. This is February of 93. $12 out, meaning I went out. But when you look, $2 Dunkin' Donuts, $19 prescriptions, $4 hairspray, $5 junk, $100 insurance, $6 cake. I wrote down everything. Every single thing that I spent. Now, 30 years ago, it was easy to keep track. You either had cash, a lot of times it was cash, or a credit card. These days, everything's credit card, everything's online. You can spend until your heart's content and you never feel it, a lot of these kids. I know somebody almost 20 years younger than I am. She has $11,000 in credit card debt. Doesn't fathom how. But every time she goes to one of those stores that suck people in, those wonderful stores like Target, or she makes a joke how she drops $300. So guess how you stop that? You don't go. I never go to Target. Ever. Because that's what you do. I don't go to my favorite stores anymore because what do I need? We've all been home for 3 years. Right now is not the time, you know what I mean? And I get online and I buy clothes and I've gone to certain stores. A cousin comes in from out of town. I go out of town and meet them. We go shopping. Of course, you end up acquiring. But my point is, it's not my thing anymore. I used to clothes shop a lot. So that has been a decrease in my budget. I can see it. Not that I budget or pay attention, but I know. You know what you spend, I hope. But my point is, everyone has their thing and we talk about judgment all the time. If you are looking on how to save money, making a list of every single dollar you spend is the biggest thing that I can tell you to do. Because what that taught me almost 30 years ago. Actually, it was long before this, 93. I graduated college in 89. I have books from then. I can't find them right now, but I've been doing that for years. So the first time I ever did it and saw $1 DD, which is Dunkin' Donuts. Now it's Dunkin'. I saw $1 and I added it up 30 times in a month. $30. Or 5 times, I didn't have $30 extra a month to blow on coffee, and that was $1 a day. Now it's $5 a day. You add that up very easily, 25 a week on 5 coffees. You're spending $100 a month in coffee. What? No way. I won't waste, I don't care if it's the best coffee in the world. I brew my coffee at home. It's just not an expense I want to incur. I see so many stupid mistakes people make. I knew another girl, and one of these days I'm going to do some fashion videos because I see so much waste. I knew a girl that said, all right, I'm running to Bloomingdale's. I got to get some tank tops. I looked and I said, Bloomingdale's? They're $38 a piece. Love Bloomingdale's. Been a long time customer. Have a lot from Bloomingdale's. But for my tank tops, I said to her, I said, Walmart has them for $2.88 a piece. You can get 3 colors, 10 colors, 20 colors. That's an area there's no way. There's no way I'm going to spend $38 on a tank top. I'm not going to do it. Yet you can look expensive. It's underneath. But no. Her tank tops had to say Barney's or Bloomingdale's. It was Bloomingdale's, I think. Ridiculous. That to me is ridiculous. My thing is clothes too, but I know where to put the money and I know where not to put the money. There are so many ways people can save money and they just don't see it about themselves. And I get asked a lot. I'm telling you, make a list. Every single thing you spend, do it for a month. Add up every week. At the end, you'll get a very distinct list. Some people do a spreadsheet and they're all on the line, and I understand that. Hard copy is in your face. Calculator. You add up, you feel it. It doesn't pop into a field automatically. You feel it. $2 plus $2 plus $2. I spent $100 in coffee in 1 week. That's a lot of money. And I'm not trying to put any kind of coffee place out of business. They get my business. They get my business when I go out for the day or when I'm on my way somewhere and I want a coffee. I go to Dunkin'. Of course I do. But my point is, it's not something that I wanted to put my money to every month in the capacity that I found out I was doing it when I made a list. I see our youth today just racking up charges. When I asked the person younger than me, what do you mean $11,000 in credit card bill? They came to me for advice. And they said they had 7 different credit cards open, like the store ones, every single store that she goes to. And they were getting all maxed. And I asked her, nothing in you stops you to make you realize that's not money. No, I mean, I had space on the card. Now, when I was raised, when I was 18 years old, 16, you get your first credit card. I don't remember how old I was when I got it, but my mother and my father both. And it's in our family. You pay those off to zero. You treat them like, at the time it was American Express, that you had to pay off to zero, I guess. That's not the one that I usually have, or really, I don't think ever. But my point is, you treat it like that. You put it to zero. If you don't have the money to spend on what you're buying, you're not supposed to buy it, I told this person. Wouldn't go in their head. She had zero idea of how much she spent on clothes, on housewares, on food out, on the house. I tried to ask her. She had zero idea categorically, because I was trying to pinpoint for her so she could maybe cut out that category and save money in that area. She had no idea. She would just go and fill up the basket. It's very addictive, sure it is. That's a rush for some people. That's another kind of addiction you can have, and it's expensive. Gambling can be an addiction that can be expensive. So the next time you go to judge someone on how they spend their money, think about how you spend yours. Your thing might not be the same as somebody else's. Somebody might value the experience they're getting with travel, and they might drop 50 grand a year on travel. And you're judging them. Well, how do they afford all that? How about, maybe they don't eat out. And if they do it all and they have the money, then good for them. Good for them. They don't have to count. Good for them. Be happy for your friend. Don't judge each other. I hear it so much. Well, did you see what she spent on it? Well, did you see what they paid for that house? Well, why aren't we just happy for each other? And if somebody asks you for help in saving money, try to guide them to what their thing is. Did they need the cigarettes? Did they need a new car? Did they need to go golfing once a week at $300 a pop? That's over $1,000 in a month if you golf once a week. I live in Orlando. I know a lot of golfers. Oh, I can get a deal, though. You can pay $20 in the month of October in my state, and you walk, and then you don't have 18th, 19th hole, and you can get out of there for $20. I know those places existed. I do. But for the most part, the golfers that I see, they're dropping $300. Let's call it a weekend. You're golfing, you're eating lunch, you're eating afterwards, you're meeting the guys for drinks. Don't tell me it's not $100 a day. That's expensive hobby, in my opinion. Unless, like my grandfather, God rest him, he would walk with his clubs till the day he died. He didn't afford himself a cart because I would ask him. He said, no, I walk. Now, I'm sure that's to save money. I know it costs more to get a cart. And it also kept him young and active. But there are things you can do. And when I hear people whine about being broke, cut the first 3 indulgences that you give yourself, and you could save way more money than you think. And I'm telling you, I've had a lot of people ask me about this. And I said earlier about I might not be the greatest, let me put 50% away person or 10% away or blah, 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 blah. But to carry debt and to get yourself into debt unnecessarily is a whole other thing. The person I know that's addicted to technology can afford to be addicted to technology. It doesn't hurt their pocket at all. Now, if somebody really wants that new phone, that new camera, that new TV, and they're charging it, and they're racking up the bill, what? You needed new? These things, they last. This phone I have is the same as they're all the same to me. The technological advances really don't add up to much. I'm sorry, technical people. I don't see it as being worth the amount of money that I hear people drop on new items. It's exorbitant expense, but that's their thing. If it's not hurting them, that's not my place to say. But everybody gets jokes about what they spend. Everyone gets jokes in an area in which they spend. The only time it's any of our business is if we're paying their bills or if they're asking us for help. It's a tricky line, though, when somebody asks you for help, because they really don't want to hear what is going to be obvious to you, like quit smoking or quit going to this store or that store or cut up the credit cards to particular stores. I know retail people don't email me. I act like they know me. But in other words, I love certain stores. Very, very loyal. But I'm not going to open a card at every single store that I love and max it out to have more room to shop. If you can't afford it on the card that you keep, we should all have a couple of credit cards, right? Emergency, credit, all that. One card goes down, you have another one. You need them to fly these days. You need credit cards, okay? So you have a couple. And I even did that once. I didn't have a credit card for 6 years. I cut it up. Do you know it was hard to get one back? I said, I'm going to see if my life is affected. It wasn't, because I pay it off to zero, because I spend what I have. I had a card connected to my bank account, but it wasn't a credit card. But then to get back out of that, to talk more financial, they're like, well, you haven't had one for 6 years. It was weird. So now, okay, so you have 2, but do you need every store? If you can't afford all that you need on the 2 credit cards that you have, and you shouldn't even have to then you're living above your means, period. You don't know. One of us lost our jobs. That's a different story. I'm not talking about trying to buy necessities and trying to remain afloat. That's a whole different animal. I'm talking about excessive overindulgence, bulking up your credit cards at all these different stores because you can't say no. And then you see that person and they're always wearing the same thing. What are they buying? Leggings and t-shirts are not expensive. And the land in Orlando is very casual. You don't need to spend anything on clothing and you'll look fabulous. It's very easy to do, to look fabulous on no money or very little money. You just have to grab the right things. Doesn't matter what store you're in. Anyway, I get off the tangent. Please stop judging each other. And if somebody needs help, try to guide them, especially the youth of today. I worry. They carry debt and they don't understand. I'm not saying everybody or all of you, please. If you're young and you have it together, then whoever raised you taught you right. But it's not like when we were younger. They have zero idea of getting older, saving for an account, having a retirement plan, not carrying debt, the cost of carrying debt, the amount of interest they're paying on all these credit cards, which means I don't care what the sale is, you ended up paying it in interest to that credit card. The sale that you thought was great, you blew it because now you ran up that credit card and it's been like that for 3 years at its max, a store credit card, then you didn't need one thing you bought. I have a lot to say. I was broke for many, many years, and I dressed well. I went to clearance places. I would absolutely count my dollars, and I didn't keep my credit card in any kind of huge debt, debt, ever. It's very easy to do if you just pay attention. And again, I made this video for 2 reasons. I want us to stop judging each other on what we spend, especially if you're not paying their bills. And if somebody does ask you for savings advice, try to look at their top 3 indulgences and approach it gently. It's just another one of those topics that gnaws at my brain, and it happens every day. I wanted to share it with you. Thank you for watching. Please go ahead and hit sub, like, and share, and have a good weekend. I'll see you next time.